I've got a question for you. What's the point of sandbox games? Don't people want to feel like they're getting through to the end of something? Isn't that why people watch TV shows and read books? To get the satisfaction of a whole story? Granted, maybe some people just want to be creative for a little while, but once a huge sandbox game takes over the genre, like Minecraft, shouldn't we just kind of be done with them? Like we found the winner. If you want to go play a sandbox game, go play that one, right? Well, if one game can answer why this endless genre is still successful, it would probably be Stardew Valley. This game came from the affection of many games in the same genre, a melting pot of time management and sandbox games, and even though it's so heavily inspired by them, audiences didn't hound it for being old news or a ripoff. In fact, Stardew Valley quickly garnered massive amounts of attention, affection, and even earned awards and nominations. And not just Stardew Valley, but so many other big sandbox games have amassed huge followings over the years. And if it's so comparable to the games it's competing with, why did Stardew Valley stand out? And as a matter of fact, why are so many of these sandbox games popular at all? It can't be the story or a competitive edge that draws crowds, so where do the fans come from? Well, maybe we'll figure out the point behind this genre as we discover what's so great about Stardew Valley. This is Animal Crossing meets Harvest Moon meets Terraria. I would dare to say that every individual piece of this game is something we've seen before, but never in such a succinct, clean combination. And let's give a little credit to the sole designer, Eric Barone, for single-handedly coding, creating sprites, and composing the music for this wonderful game. I've typically been a very story-driven type of gamer, looking for tense and exciting, complex games to drive through one after the last, so I wasn't too quick to pick up this game, but as soon as I did, it reminded me how nice it is to slow down every once in a while. This is the perfect game for you to say, I've got this 2-hour flight, I'll just pop in Stardew Valley and I'll be there in no time, because this game is perfect for intermittent attention. There are no high-stake time frames for you to sweat over, you can play at your own pace. There are a whole collection of optional paths to take and accomplishments you can achieve that require specific timing and focus, but that's left up to your discretion, with many players not even bothering with them on their first playthrough. You can be as uninvolved in this game as you want. You can explore the city, complete quests, and fulfill goals available to you, or do none of the above and just plant crops a day at a time. This can be treated as an RPG or just a glorified Farmville, because your level of involvement and enjoyment is completely up to you. Been playing for quite a while but never really left your farm? No sweat, maybe it's time to start exploring. The world is always waiting for you. Even the story of the game mirrors exactly what Stardew Valley is supposed to be doing for you in a metagame sense. Worn down by your day-to-day routine? Come relax on your farm. Get away from it all for a bit in a fun new environment. The colors are bright, the music is relaxed, and the neighbors are cheery. There's nothing in this world of Stardew Valley to get you down. Even when the sun isn't shining, the world is full of energy. The rainy days are cool and calm, and without having to even worry about watering your crops, you have the whole day to check off anything else on your list. Or maybe just wander around town for a bit and see what catches your eye. While you're wandering through the valley, you may notice that the NPCs are just polarizing enough in their characteristics to make you build an opinion on them. Maybe you think one person's annoying, one is sweet, and the other is funny. Their personalities don't tell you to think each of these, but there's enough substance to any character to help you form that first impression of them before you actually get involved in any of their lives. You can choose how much you want to be involved with any or all of these fellow citizens of Stardew Valley, even to the point that you can just close yourself off to the world and not worry about it. And while it's not mandatory, it does add another layer of complexity to this game if you choose to pursue interacting with any of these characters. They're all fleshed out people that you can learn about. They have specific lifestyles, traits, favorite things, habits, and it helps the whole world feel more alive when you get to go check in on this new friend you've made across town. Stardew Valley has the same addictive draw that was built into casual mobile games and early Facebook games like Farmville, except for the fact that it's actually a fully fledged game. There's no metadata of asking friends for stuff, there's no waiting around in real time and checking in to make sure nothing's changed, or even worse, burning time until something finally has changed. Everything works on the in-game time, letting you pick up and put down the game at your own leisure, and not forcing your hand to make sure you still progress at a decent rate. When becoming invested in a management game of this type, there are few aspects worse than the fact that some of them require being checked in on, or you can somehow overweight on time and lose your progress. Luckily, Stardew Valley doesn't have that feature. Let's take a look at other games that exist among the sandbox and management genres for a second and see why people like them. If there's no end game, no final level, no 100% complete badge, then why would people spend so much time in it? Why quote-unquote waste your time with something you know you'll never be done with? Let's look at most likely the most successful sandbox game of all time, Minecraft. It does have achievements and even a little story and credit sequence that you can trigger through doing specific tasks, but those tasks are by no means the root of the experience itself. In fact, that ending wasn't even added into the game until April 2011 in the beta 1.5 version, contextually just a couple months before the game hit 10 million users, without the inclusion of this added piece of story. And it by no means restricts what's available to you after you achieve it either. If nothing else, due to constant updates in most recent editions, you most likely haven't experienced a good deal of the game by the time you see that credit sequence. All of this is to say, this game didn't need an ending just to become popular, and it still doesn't. As of early 2019, Microsoft stated that this sandbox title still had over 91 million monthly active users. Let's look at a totally different kind of casual game which I've already referenced, Farmville. This was a game for the truly casual in every sense. I mean, there were levels of obsessiveness that some players had, but you can't deny that the game was successful with a peak of 34.5 million daily users at one point. The major draw here being simplicity and connectability. The rules are simple, and you get to feel a little bit of satisfaction as you expand your farm and unlock new content. For some players, that was enough. The next level up was involving your friends, bringing people together through the already utilized Facebook connection to add both cooperative and competitive attributes. Then, the final level of addiction comes from the time restraints on everything. This was for players who were totally sucked into Farmville, checking in at all the right times and keeping track of when they needed to log in next to maximize profits. All of these different levels of involvement catered to different types of players and gave them what they wanted. And you know what? Every casual game has this system. Minecraft, Farmville, World of Warcraft, RuneScape, Terraria, Fallout Shelter, Animal Crossing. They all follow a well-proven formula of player involvement. There's the basic level of walking around the world, enjoying the aesthetics, listening to music, and playing an easily understood game for as long as you feel like. Then, there's the totally opposite end of planning your day around when to log in next, using external connections to boost your gaming experience, and then there's every level in between. None of those games I just mentioned have an explicit ending in terms of roll the credits, there's nothing more to see here. And the majority of them rely heavily on time-based interactions, whether in real time or game time. The benefits of a game like Stardew Valley lie in the ability to balance the addictiveness of the come back soon sort of mentality with a relaxing level of drive from the player. The game carefully nudges you into being more involved without penalizing you whenever you feel like you've had enough. Do sandbox games need a purpose? Well, the answer is actually that they already have one. It's to be accessible. Even their openness and repetitive nature are part of that. Stardew Valley, the other games I compared it to, and every other game out there in the sandbox genre aren't for people looking to show off their abilities or take on a grand challenge. The biggest turnoff for people against certain games that I've heard time and time again is, well, I'm just not good at it. So of course they won't be searching for fast-paced first-person shooters or complex strategy games. Just as the ever-constant popularity of mobile games has indicated, the general population just wants something to pick up and play. Maybe it's relaxing and maybe there's a little challenge, but there are a few requirements for those games. It can't be over too quickly, the narrative can't be too important to the experience, and it needs to be repetitive. In typical gaming, the term repetitive has garnered some flack because it evokes the idea of the developers didn't know what else to add, so you have to do this mission over and over again with different places or characters. In reality, repetition is good when portioned into a game properly because it means familiarity. The fact that nothing really changes day to day in Stardew Valley, aside from a few little annual events, which they give you clear warning for, means you'll never be lost when you boot the game back up. You could have been gone for months, suddenly remember you own the game, and you'll know exactly what to do because it's still Stardew Valley. Your farm is still waiting for you and the neighbors are happy to see you. There's no real danger in the dreaded thoughts of, where was I going and what was I doing? Every hugely popular sandbox has this level of repetition that allows you to get your bearings again. Starting a new world in Minecraft? Easy. Punch some trees, find some coal, and you're good to go. Familiarity from repetition is an excellent tool for games to utilize when appealing to a casual audience. This repetition is perfectly layered with a chipper attitude and cozy aesthetics, meaning you'll never feel lost or confused, and always have a relaxing experience to come back to whenever you feel like picking up the game. And that is what's so great about Stardew Valley. Thank you all for joining us on this episode of What's So Great About Gaming as we grew closer to the world of Stardew Valley. If you want to hear what's great about another game, check out the link to our last episode, God of War 2018, on screen or in the description. If you want to be a part of a positive gaming community, please take the time to subscribe and be involved in the discussions. And tell us what you think about Stardew Valley, or even suggest a game for another video. Thanks again for watching. Now go play a great game. We'll see you next time.